What's up, guys? So, I discovered this game on Humble Bundle and I was pleasantly surprised. In my experience, Humble Bundle is kinda hit or miss. You can have some absolute bangers like the Capcom one, which gets you basically every Street Fighter game in the series, or the Resident Evil one, which got you basically every Resident Evil game in the series. And then you can have some flops like the Call of Duty 3 one, which was horrible, which is part of the reason why I'm not a monthly subscriber to Humble Bundle. I kind of just check it out every once in a while and see if I see something that I like, and then I'll buy that month's bundle if I think it looks good or if there's something in there that I want. So I was checking out the indie bundle and I happened to notice this game, and what initially drew me to it was the artwork. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, those type of games. So I checked it out, and it's really fun. If you enjoy games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Shining Force, or Ogre Battle, then you'll definitely want to check out this video. So in today's video, we're going to do a review of Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga. So let's jump into it. Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga is a tactical turn-based RPG from the studio Dancing Dragon. What initially drew me to checking the game out and purchasing the bundle was the artwork, which reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics. When I first started playing, that's initially what I thought this game was, just an FFT clone, which I would have been more than happy to play as I love Final Fantasy Tactics. After a few hours of playing, though, I realized that there's a lot more to this game, and it is definitely not a Final Fantasy Tactics clone. In Symphony of War, you control the main character, which can be male or female. You unfortunately cannot edit the appearance of your character other than just choosing if it's male or female. In addition to the main character squad, you can control up to 19 other squads. While there are some battles that do limit the amount of squads you can take, though, based on the mission type. Each squad can consist up to 8 members and 1 leader. How many squad members you have is based on your squad leader's leadership attribute, so it's important to pick good leaders, just like in actual combat or place of occupation. Each character has 6 different stats, which determine the unit's individual armor, how much damage that they do, what chance they have to hit or crit, how often they evade attacks, how strong their magic is, and how good of a leader they are. Each unit has up to 3 traits that do a variety of different things, from taking less damage on defense to doing more damage to dragons. Unique or story characters will sometimes have special traits or more traits due to them being rare and or plot armor. Units are further broken down into different archetypes and tiers. There are 3 baseline tiers with a 4th tier that can be unlocked with special conditions or with rare consumable items. The tier 1 troops are what you'd expect from high fantasy, with units like fighter, bowman, and medic. Tier 2 units are more specialized units, like, for example, a fighter can become a soldier or a spearman, and a medic can become an apprentice or a priestess. Tier 3 units are your strongest class specializations unless you decide to upgrade to that 4th tier, provided you meet the necessary requirements. Each squad can have up to a maximum of 9 units, and each unit takes a different amount of capacity from your roster. Several factors determine how much units cost to any given squad, with the most important being the squad leader's leadership skill, determining the max capacity that a squad can have. There is also a tech tree which you will unlock as your faction level increases. Some things that will increase your faction's level are completing important story battles or doing side quests or having conversations with your troops. You can level this tree up however you choose, and there is a variety of options to choose from. Some examples are making your healers take less damage or the ability to craft crossbows. The biggest difference I noticed in Symphony of War over other tactical RPGs like Final Fantasy Tactics and Shining Force is the importance of terrain. For instance, heavy infantry have less movement in rough terrain like swamps or forests, or archers have a significant chance to hit or crit from elevated terrain while also benefiting from less chance to be hit or crit while on elevated terrain. Positioning has always been important in these types of games, but it's especially important in Symphony of War, as if you misposition, the enemy will 100% take advantage of it, even on the lower difficulties. I found myself in the organized army screen way more than an actual battle, crafting the perfect squad compositions, having ambushers, mobile infantry.
Look at that!
Tanky boys, and spell slingers. For me, I found it was best to have a few tactical squads that had a specific purpose. An example, a rogue ambusher squad or a mobile archer squad, and then the rest of the squads being balanced between offense and defense. I played the game on the Warlord difficulty, which is the second hardest. I found the difficulty of the game had the right balance between being challenging and not insanely hard. As long as you took advantage of terrain, didn't overextend your troops, and were working with the best squads that you could make, there were very few battles that I had to do more than once. The overarching story of the game is pretty decent. There's a lot of political intrigue and betrayal. Very Final Fantasy Tactics-esque. It is set in a medieval high fantasy background with a mixture of magic, guns, and dragons. The basic premise of the story is that there's an ancient prophecy that is slowly starting to come true, and your character flits between believing it's real and not. I'll say no more on the story to avoid any potential spoilers, but it's not bad if a little cliche and overused. So before I get into the things I didn't like about the game, I will preface this by saying I did really enjoy this game. There are, however, quite a few things I think that could be improved upon. While the overarching story for Symphony of War is pretty decent, the inter-character stories feel hollow and somewhat immersion-breaking. For example, there is one conversation where the main character is speaking to Raskusha, the cat character. Raskusha keeps calling the main character human, to which the main character finally corrects him to call him or her by their name. Raskusha corrects himself only for the main character to now starting Raskusha cat instead of his actual name. I'm not sure if this was intentional, as a lot of the games of the Final Fantasy Tactics and Ogre Battle era had some pretty bad writing, mostly due to translation issues, so I'm not sure if this was supposed to be a callback to that time or what. But anyways, the romance options also seem to be added after the fact. My character romanced Abigail and he proclaims his immense love for her, but then we get no real backstory between the two characters and why the main character loves her so much, and there really isn't any mention of it again until the very end of the game when it tells the ending of their story. This is just a minor critique, but I wish there was a bit more to the romance, like some unique dialogue or special cutscenes or something like that, especially for the main character. The controls are also pretty cumbersome and awkward. I'm not sure if the intended experience was supposed to be on controller or mouse and keyboard, but I played on mouse and keyboard. I was eventually able to get used to the controls, but they did not feel very intuitive. My biggest complaint with the combat is that there is no undo if you accidentally click wait. The only way to undo this is to completely redo your turn, which is not fun. The availability of traits also seemed very scarce. I'm not sure if this was on a difficulty thing or what. I saw no mention that higher difficulty limits the amount of resources, but it was very difficult for me to find 3 traits that I actually wanted on every squad. I mostly had a core of about 10 squads that were decked out with the best traits and artifacts, and the other squads for the larger battles just had whatever I could scrounge up. All in all, I really did enjoy this game. The minor critiques I had of the game were just that, minor. I give this a solid thumbs up. And for only $20, it's worth the 70 plus hours that I got out of it. If you're a fan of games like Ogre Battle, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Fire Emblem, definitely check this game out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it does really help with the YouTube algorithm. I make weekly content on various gaming topics like game reviews, build guides, gaming news, things like that. Until next time, have a great day/night. See ya.